The knife slipped from my father's hand that night, not by accident, but with the cold precision of a man who'd rehearsed his sins 1,000 times in the mirror. It buried itself in my thigh as we argued over the family business ledger, the one he'd fudged to cover my brother's gambling debts. And I laughed like it was just another Tuesday in our crumbling Detroit suburb, because pain was the only currency we traded anymore. But when the blood pooled on the linoleum, warm and accusing, my brother Ethan just stared, his fork midway to his mouth, and whispered, "You deserved that, Alex." For knowing too much. That was the hook, the moment the family dinner devolved into a slaughterhouse of secrets, where the punchline wasn't the joke Dad cracked about my failed life fresh out of county lockup, but the way everyone chuckled except Ethan, his eyes flicking to the basement door like it held the ghosts of what I'd buried for him. I'd done 3 years inside for boosting cars to pay off his bookies, a fall guy wrapped in brotherly love, while he slithered free on a technicality, schmoozing his way into Dad's construction firm. Mom averted her eyes, sipping her boxed wine like it could erase the scar on my soul, the one from taking the rap so Ethan could chase his American dream of corner office lies. But as the paramedics hauled me out, sirens wailing against the sodium glow of our streetlights, I tasted it, not blood, but the bitter tang of vengeance, slow brewed like moonshine in the Rust Belt shadows. I didn't press charges. Not then. Forgiveness was the family creed, etched into the cross-stitch sampler above our sagging couch. Blood is thicker than water. Bullshit. Water doesn't drown you in its undertow. From the hospital bed, tubes snaking like accusations, I watched Ethan visit once, his loafers scuffing the tile, mumbling apologies that reeked of cologne and cowardice. "It'll blow over, bro. Dad's got connections. Connections. The same ones that got me shanked in juvie for his screw-ups at 16. I nodded, played the part, but inside, the gears turned, oiled by resentment, sharpened by the realization that the only oath we'd ever kept was the one to screw each other over first. Discharge papers in hand, I limped back to the old neighborhood, where the factories stood like gutted whales under the I-75 overpass, and the air hummed with a low buzz of desperation. My studio apartment was a shoebox above a payday loan joint, rent paid in crumpled 20s from odd jobs, hauling scrap at the auto yard, where the foreman eyed my record like it was a contagious rash. But it gave me time. Time to map the fault lines in our family empire. Dad's firm, Klein Construction, a front for skimming union funds and burying bodies, metaphorical, mostly in substandard builds that collapsed like our trust. Ethan was the golden boy now, VP at 28, stupping the mayor's niece to grease permits, while I was the ghost, haunting the edges. The first move was subtle, the kind of revenge that festers like untreated lead poisoning in Flint's pipes. I hacked into the firm's email, nothing fancy, just a phishing link disguised as an invoice from a supplier I'd worked with inside. Ethan's password was Family First 69, a joke that curdled my gut. Folders spilled open, invoices padded with ghost labor, kickbacks to inspectors, and buried deepest, the file on me, Alex cover, TXT, detailing how they'd coached my confession, paid off the DA's cousin for a plea deal. There it was, the secret I'd carried like a tumor, Ethan's signature on the affidavit swearing I'd acted alone in that chop shop bust. His print smudged but damning. I printed it all, stashed copies in a safety deposit box under a fake name, Victor Slade. My prison moniker, the one I'd earned slinging tales to survive lockdown. Nights blurred into reconnaissance, tailing Ethan from his McMansion in Grosse Pointe to dive bars in Hamtramck, where he'd snort lines off a stripper's thigh, bragging about fixing the books. Dad was easier. Golf at the country club, where the old guard swapped war stories about dodging OSHA fines like they were federal taxes. Mom? She was the wild card. Chain-smoking menthols on the back porch, her rosary beads clicking like a metronome to our dysfunction. But revenge isn't a solo act. It needs an audience. A chorus to amplify the discord. I reached out to Riley, my ex from high school, the one who'd stuck by me through the trial, her lawyer daddy pulling strings that ultimately snapped. We met at a diner off 8 Mile. 4 mica tables sticky with grease. The jukebox crooning Springsteen like a dirge. "You're playing with fire, Alex," she said, her red nails tapping a coffee mug, eyes sharp as the switchblade I'd once carved our initials with. "Ethan's not just your brother. He's got half the city in his pocket." I slid the printouts across. Her gasp was oxygen to my flame. She was in pro bono. She called it. But I saw the hunger. The itch for justice that law school had sanded dull. We started small. Anonymous tips to the EPA about Klein's eco-friendly dump sites leaching toxins into the Rouge River. Fish kills made the local news. A blip between Lions' losses and pot legalization debates. Dad's face on the 11 o'clock report, sputtering about activist bullshit, while Ethan's text blew up my burner. "WDF, man? Lay low." I didn't. Next came the whistleblower blog. Rustbeltrevenge.com, hosted on a Tor node, dripping leaks like sewage from a cracked pipe. Union reps started whispering. Workers walking off sites mid-pour. Picket lines snaking like veins under the summer sun. Ethan cornered me at the family Labor Day barbecue. The one where aunts force-feed you potato salad laced with Miracle Whip, and cousins shotgun beers behind the garage. Smoke from the Weber curled like accusations as he grabbed my arm. His grip vice-tight. "This you? The leaks? Dad's losing contracts. Alex. We're bleeding." His breath was Bud Light and panic. Eyes starting to where Dad held court by the cooler, regaling the uncles with tales of 68 riots he'd survived by crossing picket lines. I shrugged. The fresh tattoo on my forearm itching, a coiled serpent devouring its tail. Ouroboros for the cycle we couldn't break. "Bleeding's familiar, isn't it, bro? Like that night in the shop, when you handed me the wrench and said, 'Make it quick.'" His face twisted. Not denial, but deflection. The Klein special, that was survival. "You were always the tough one." I couldn't, lies. I'd covered for him since we were kids. Taking the belt for his stolen comics. The blame for Mom's missing Valium. But this was the pivot. The moment I saw the mask crack. He lunged, fist connecting with my jaw in a spray of spit and regret. But I didn't swing back. Not yet. Let him think he had the upper hand. Predators get sloppy when they smell blood. Riley pulled me aside later, her hand cool on my swelling cheek, the backyard fairy lights twinkling like false stars. "You're spiraling, Alex. This isn't justice. It's a vendetta." She was right, in the way all truths are when whispered in the dark. But vendettas build empires in America. Think Capone's speakeasies or Wall Street wolves. We escalated, forged docs to the IRS, painting Dad's offshore accounts as laundering fronts for Ethan's bookie ties. Audits hit like thunderclaps. Agents swarming the office, seizing servers while Dad bellowed obscenities that echoed off the glass towers downtown. The fallout was biblical. Mom called at 2 a.m., her voice a rasp through tears. "Your father's having a heart attack. Alex. Come home." I drove the hour from my hole in the wall, rain sheeting the windshield like judgment, arriving at Henry Ford Hospital where the fluorescents buzzed like angry hornets. Dad lay pale, tubes hissing, but his eyes, those steel-blue Klein eyes, locked on mine with pure venom. You did this. My own blood. Ethan hovered in the corner, arms crossed, the picture of filial piety. But I caught the smirk, the satisfaction that I'd finally played my hand and lost. Or so he thought. While they wheeled Dad to cath lab, I slipped into his briefcase, left unguarded in the waiting room frenzy, and palmed the USB. Back home, jacked into my laptop. It was Christmas, encrypted ledgers, not just schemes but hits, contractor, accidents, staged to void insurance claims. One file time-stamped the week before my chop shop bust. Ethan hadn't just let me take the fall, he'd engineered it, tipping off the cops anonymously to clear his slate with the mobbed-up lenders. The secret I'd buried? It wasn't debt, it was murder. Arriba el buki. Disappeared into Lake St.
Claire?
Waits from Dad's garage.
And me?
The patsy with the priors. Confessing to auto theft to bury the body count. Rage crystallized then. Not hot but arctic. The kind that carves glaciers. Riley wanted to go legit FBI drop, but I vetoed. This ends on our terms. We leaked to the free press. Anonymized but laced with enough detail to ignite the powder keg. Headline screamed, Klein Construction Emperor Falls, Mob Ties. Cover UPS. And a brother's betrayal? Ethan's photo splashed beside mine from the mugshot database. The irony a gut punch. Protests erupted outside City Hall. Rust Belt revenge trending on X. Armchair Avengers debating if I was hero or heel. Ethan fought dirty. As always. My apartment got tossed, cops. Unofficial. Badges flashed too quick for questions. Wrong address, they muttered. But the message lingered. Back off. Then Riley. Her firm's files subpoenaed on trumped-up ethics charges. Her daddy's golf buddies whispering poison. She confronted me at the diner again. Circles under her eyes like bruises. He's coming for us. Alex. And you? You're dragging me into hell. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Blood's thicker. Right? That's your line. She left cash for the coffee. Walked into the rain. And ghosted, number changed. Social scrubbed. Alone. The noose tightened. Dad stabilized. Out on bail pending indictments. Ranting voicemails. You'll rot like your mother. Boy, weak. Sniveling. Mom? Silent. But her Facebook prayer chain exploded with pleas for family healing. Ethan was the ghost now. Vanishing into witness protection whispers. But I tracked him to a safe house in Clawson, a nondescript rancher with blinds drawn tight. Stakeout nights bled into weeks. My truck idling curbside. Thermos of black coffee turning to sludge. He emerged once, slipping into a black SUV. Passenger fed with a Detroit twang, deal-making. Flipping on Dad to save his skin. The climax brewed in the warehouse district, where Klein's derelict builds loomed like forgotten gods. I'd lured him with a burner text. Meet me. Rouge River Bridge. Midnight. End this. Rain lashed the MacArthur. Thunder rumbling like the Motown bass lines of our youth. He arrived solo. Trench coat flapping. Face gaunt under street lamps. Alex. This is insane. We can fix. I cut him off. Pistol heavy in my pocket, unregistered. A gift from a yard buddy, with grudges of his own. Fix? Like you fixed Jimmy Russo? Dumped him with cinder blocks while I sang to the choir. His laugh was hollow, wind-whipped. You think you're clean? That chop shop? Your idea.
Bro.
I just followed.
Lies.
But the flip, the way his eyes hardened, calculating exit angles, split the night. We circled. Words weapons. Him accusing me of jealousy. The runt sibling syndrome. Me laying bare the ledgers. The lives crushed under poured concrete. Dad knew, he spat finally. About Russo.
Push me to it.
Said blood protects blood. The revelation hung. A noose for us both.
Dad.
The puppeteer. Strings attached to our throats since crib days. I raised the gun. Rain tracing barrels down my arm. On your knees, Ethan. For the brotherhood. He dropped. Not begging but bargaining. Shoot. And you're him. The monster. The choice tore. Pull the trigger. Become the betrayer. Or holster. Let the courts carve us hollow? Sirens wailed distant. His fed pal closing in. In that suspended breath. The twist uncoiled. Mom's text. Time-stamped minutes old. Stop. Alex. Ethan's not the father.
Wait. What?
The screen glowed accusation. A paternity test PDF. Buried in family docs I'd overlooked. Dad wasn't mine.
Ethan?
Half-brother at best. A pawn in Mom's affair with the union boss. Dad had suicided years back. The gun lowered. Not mercy, but mutation, revenge reframed. I tossed Ethan the keys to my truck.
Run.
Tell Dad the joke's on him. As he peeled out, tires hydroplaning into black, I torched the warehouse, Klein's crown jewel. Blueprints in my pack, flames licking skyward like middle fingers to the empire. Feds swarmed, but I melted into the shadows. Riley's voice in my head, not justice, but survival. Epilogue hit like hangover fog. Dad took the full fall, RICO charges. Life in Supermax, his empire ash. Literally. Ethan vanished. Rumors of witness relocation to Phoenix. Flipping burgers under alias. Mom? Confession in a letter. Postmarked from a Florida condo. I chose wrong sons to save.
Me?
Cleared on technicals. Riley back, tentative. Her hand in mine at the diner. Planning a life west. Where the sun doesn't set on rest. Victory? Or just another layer of the con? Readers, you decide. Was I avenger or accelerant to the blaze? Blood may not be thicker, but its stains, they never wash out. Expanding the opening. Detailed family dinner scene. Internal monologue on past sacrifices. First hints of the chop shop setup. Build tension with dialogue. Sensory details of Detroit suburb. Smell of overcooked meat. Flicker of TV in background with Lions game. Introduce characters deeply. Dad's booming laugh masking insecurity. Mom's quiet enabling. Ethan's charismatic facade. End with the stabbing. Hospital haze. Planting seeds of doubt about Ethan's refusal to laugh. 1,000 words. The dining room light swung like a noose, casting long shadows over the checkered tablecloth that Mom had starched to death, as if perfection could iron out her creases. Dad's voice boomed, fork spearing a hunk of pot roast like it owed him money. So, Alex, back from your little vacation? 3 hots and a cot, government softer than your spine these days. The table erupted, aunts cackling into their Merlot, uncles slapping knees with calloused palms. Everyone but Ethan. His fork paused, lips tight in that almost smile he reserved for when the joke landed too close to bone. I'd heard worse inside. Catcalls from lifers who'd shink you for a sideways glance. But this From the man who'd signed my birth certificate, who taught me to swing a hammer before I could read, now twisting the knife with words because the real one's rusting in evidence lockup. Pass the gravy. Pop, I muttered, voice steady as the assembly line I'd never join. Inside, though, the old wound reopened, the one from that night 3 years back. Rain hammering the tin roof of Russo's garage like God pissing on our parade.
Ethan and I.
25 and invincible. Knee-deep in hubcaps and heist dreams. One score. Bro, he'd said, eyes gleaming under the sodium buzz. And we're out. College for you. MBA for me. Klein legacy. Upgraded. Legacy. Dad's construction gigs barely covered the mortgage. Mom's nursing shifts buying the booze that blurred the edges. So we boosted nothing fancy. A string of Chargers from the GM lot. Flipped to chop shops up in Warren. Easy money. Until it wasn't. Cops swarmed. Lights painting the walls crimson. And there was Ethan, cool as a Ford exec, whispering, "Take it, Alex."
Say you planned it solo.
I'll back you. Back me? With what? His silver tongue?
I did.
Pleaded out to grand theft. 18 months stretched to 36 on a violation, some bullshit about contraband smokes. Ethan walked. Cooperating witness. His statement painting me the mastermind. Dad pulled strings. Got me work release at the yard. But the whispers followed. Snitch. Screw up. The Klein black sheep. And now, at this table, the punchline, my vacation. Laughter swelled, a wave crashing, but Ethan's eyes met mine soft.
Almost sorry.
He set his fork down, cleared his throat. Lay off.
Dad.
Guys, just home. Silence dropped like a gavel. Dad's fork clattered, face purpling under the jowls. Defending the deadbeat? Christ. Ethan, you're softer than Wonder Bread. Mom fussed with napkins. Her rings clinking, avoiding the storm. I pushed back my chair, the scrape a gunshot in the hush. Appreciate it.
Bro.
But water's wet. Walked to the kitchen. Heart hammering. Poured bourbon neat. Dad's stash. Wild turkey biting like regret. That's when it escalated. Dad followed, reeking of A1 sauce and agita, waving the ledger like an indictment. Look at this. Your help with the books. Numbers don't lie.
Boy.
You think I don't see the schemes? Schemes? I'd fudged entries to cover Ethan's poker tabs, the ones he'd racked up chasing skirts in Greektown casinos. For the family he'd begged, slapping my back like we were still kids building forts from scrap lumber. I opened my mouth to deny, but he lunged, wild, whiskey-fueled, knife from the block flashing. It sank shallow, quad muscle parting like bad faith. Pain bloomed, hot and immediate, blood sheeting my jeans. I staggered, hand clamping the hilt, pulling free in a gush that painted the fridge. Dad froze. Knife dripping, horror dawning. Jesus. Alex. Ethan burst in, Mom wailing behind. Call 911, he barked. But his eyes on mine held not shock, but calculation. As the room spun, sirens distant, I yanked the blade away, tossed it in the sink. Joke's over. Dad. Laugh it up. Hospital smelled of bleach and broken dreams. Our buzzing with gunshot grazes from the block party gone south. Doc stitched me up. 16 neat throws. While a bored cop took statements, domestic, no charges if I signed off. Ethan hovered, fetching vending machine coffee, his hand on my shoulder heavy. He's stressed.
Man.
The firm's tanking, bids lost to those Chinese outfits. This. Nodding at the bandage. Accident.
Accident.
Like the chop shop raid. The anonymous tip that was his number on the log. I nodded, played along, but the hook was set. As morphine dripped, vision swam, Ethan's dorm room excuses. Dad's golf trips funded by bonuses, Mom's pill bottles multiplying. The betrayal wasn't the cut, it was the cover-up. The way they'd let me bleed for their sins. Discharge at dawn. Cab to my studio, peeling paint, mattress on the floor. I stared at the ceiling cracks mapping like veins. Vengeance?
Not yet.
But the ledger balanced in my mind. Debt owed.
Interest compounding.
First order, recon. Pawned the family heirloom watch, Grandpa's Timex. Stopped at 89 strike hour for a laptop. Cheap but encrypted. Fished the firm email with a bogus supplier link. Ethan's password a gut laugh. Brothers for life. Files flooded. Padded invoices. Union bribes. And Alex dossier PDF. My confession. Coached line by line. Ethan's notary stamp glaring. Buried deeper. Russo mattered doc. Jimmy Russo. Bookie with a ledger of his own. Handled the week before my bust. Disappeared. No body. But Waits purchased cash from Dad's garage. The secret uncoiled. I'd taken the auto wrap to bury afloat. Ethan's mess with Russo's crew. They thought me loyal. The fall guy supreme. But loyalty's a one-way street in Detroit. Potholed and pissed on. I printed. Hid in a lockbox at the credit union. Victor Slade. My ink alias from Yard Tats. Then, the call to Riley. Voicemail crackling. Need your eyes on something. Family reunions gone south. She met me at Dino's. All chrome stools and Elvis on the walls. Her suit sharp as her wit. 3 years. Alex Klein. And you surface with this? Flipping the dossier. Red pen circling fraud. This is felony gold. But Ethan's your blood.
Blood.
The word soured. Blood's just DNA. This. Tapping Russo's file. Murder. Her eyes widened. Lawyer gears turning. We go federal? I shook my head. Not we.
Me.
But I need a ghostwriter for the leaks. She signed on. Pro bono fire in her veins. First drop. EPA tip on the dump site. Klein concrete laced with chromium from old foundry runoff. News hit like a flat tire. Fish belly up in the river. Locals raging at council meetings. Dad's presser. Sweat beading under Klieg lights. Hoax by competitors. Ethan texted. Dude.
Chill.
Dad's flipping. Flipping. Like he had on me. Nights stretched. Stakeouts in my beater F-150. Tailing Ethan to his Grosse Pointe McMansion. White pickets hiding the rot. He parked in the drive. Arm around a blonde. Mayor's niece. Per the society pages. Disappearing inside while I nursed a flask. Springsteen's Darkness on the Edge of Town, low on the radio. The plan coalesced. Not a bang. But a bleed out. Slow and inexorable as rust. Deep dive into hacking and leaks. Internal conflict with Riley. First confrontation with Ethan at barbecue. Sensory American details. Barbecue smoke. Beer pong. Family dynamics. Build controversy. Is Alex justified or obsessive? End with apartment toss. Riley's warning. 1,000 words. The laptop hummed like a hive of pissed-off bees in my shoebox. Screen glow the only light against walls papered in faded Lions posters. Riley's code, simple Python script. Her law school side hustle, crack the firm's VPN like a safe with the combo taped underneath. Amateurs, she texted, emoji wink masking the worry. Folders bloomed, permits fudged, union pays, and the crown? Legacy files, zipped with a password that cracked on the third try, Klein Kings.
Inside.
The kingdom crumbled. Emails from Dad to Ethan. Handle the inspector, $5K envelope. Like, oh 08. Ethan's replies. Slick as used car sales. Done. Alex's old contacts greased it. My contacts? The yard rats I'd called for favors, now bites closing on my ass. Then, the kicker, audio clip. Time-stamped, bus night. Ethan's voice.
Tinny. Yeah.
It's Klein. Solo op. My brother's idiot move. Tip the boys. Clear the debt.
Debt.
Russo's ghost. $50,000 in vig. Settled with a trunk and lake dive. I puked in the sink, while tasting of diner grease and betrayal. Riley called at 3 a.m., voice husky from briefs. You okay? Lie, peachy. Sending the zip. Truth, unraveling. Threads pulling at the American myth we'd swallowed. Pull yourself up. Family first. Detroit tough. But toughness is just code for taking hits till you swing wild. We launched the blog next week. Rust Belt Revenge. Hosted dark web. Posts dripping sarcasm. Klein construction. Building dreams. Burying nightmares. First leak. Padded bids. $200,000 vanished on consulting. Posted with redacted names. But the math screamed Ethan. Shares spiked on Reddit r/Detroit. Comments a melee, snitch, versus. Finally, someone balls up. Fallout hit Labor Day barbecue. Backyard a minefield of coolers and cornhole. Aunts in Lily Pulitzer knockoffs gossiping about poor Alex's temper. Uncles grilling brats with bud in hand. Dad held court. Meat fork scepter. But his laugh rang hollow. Eyes scanning for leaks. Ethan manned the grill. Apron kissed the cook, flipping burgers like alibis. I nursed a PBR. Bandage itching under jeans. Riley's text-burning pocket. Don't engage. Document.
He did.
Sidling up with tongs. Sweat beading on his frat boy brow. Nice work on the yard.
Bro.
Heard you're hauling again. Translation. Lay low.
Peasant.
I sipped.
Slow. Yeah.
Pays better than your poker nights. His jaw ticked. Tongs clenching. Jealous?
Man.
I covered your ass. Lawyer fees. The works.
Covered.
The word ignited. Like you covered Russo? Waits from Dad's. Tip to PD clean slate. Ha! Smoke curled between us. Masking his flinch. You don't know shit. But his eyes darted. Guilt or gauge. The flip came fast. He grabbed my collar. Voice low thunder. This leak crap? Yours? Dad's hemorrhaging. Alex. Contracts drying up like the river. Fist connected. Brass knuckle of a right hook. Splitting my lips salty. Family froze. Mom's boys, a plea lost in the sizzle. I tasted copper. Spat on the grass. No swing back, let him crow. Ants fluttered. Dad bellowing settle it, but Ethan stalked off. Blonde on arm. Whispering poison. Riley arrived late. Her sedan crunching gravel. Eyes scanning the bruise. Told you. We walked the block. Streetlights buzzing. Kids on bikes scattering. He's scared, she said, arm linking mine tentative. Good. Means we're close. Close to what? The line blurred. Justice or jihad. Back home. The toss waited. Door ajar. Drawers gutted. Laptop smashed under boot prints. Note on mirror. Lipstick sneer. Family knows. Ethan's touch. Or Dad's dogs. I swept glass. Heart pounding. Called Riley. They're in.
Her paws stretched.
Then so am I. But Alex, this ends bad. You're the villain in your own story.
Villain.
The word echoed as I duct-taped the rig. New burner sim slotted. Next leak, IRS packet. Offshore shells in the Caymans. Ethan's signature digital. Audits loomed. Agents circling like vultures over roadkill. Mom's call came weepy. Heart attack. Honey. Your father's clutching. I drove. Wipers slashing rain. The USB from his briefcase my talisman. Hospital scene expanded. USB revelations. Mom's silence. Escalation with protests. Internal debate on pulling Riley in deeper. First real doubt about revenge's cost. End with Ethan's disappearance rumor. 1,000 words. Henry Ford's cardiac wing was a sterile purgatory. Beeps syncing with my pulse. The air thick with Lysol and low moans. Dad lay wired like a Christmas tree gone wrong. Monitors graphing his sins in green squiggles. You, he rasped as I entered. For drip beeping accusation. This you're doing? The feds. The press. His hand twitched toward the call button, but weakness pinned it. Ethan lurked by the window. Blind slatted shadows on his face. Phone glued to ear, damage control. No doubt. I pulled the visitor chair. Plastic creaking. Karma's American as apple pie.
Pop.
Skim enough. It schemes back. His laugh choked. Cough rattling tubes. Ungrateful prick. I built this for you boys. For us, the firm was his ego. Bids rigged since Reagan. Workers' comp dodged like DUIs. Built on what? Backs like mine. Ethan stepped forward. Hand raised conciliatory.
Easy.
Alex. Doc says stress. Stress. I stood. Chair scraping. Like boosting cars for your debts? Or confessing to hide a floater? The word floater hung. Russo's bloated ghost between us. Ethan's face drained. Eyes flicking to Dad, shared secret.
Confirmed.
You have no proof. Proof? The USB burned in my pocket. Snatched from his bag in the chaos. Drive labeled contingencies. I bolted before nurses swarmed. Elevator dinging like a slot machine loss. Back in the truck. Rain drumming dash. I jacked the drive. Files unfurled. Ledgers with disposal fees. $10,000 line item for consulting. JR. Audio again. Dad's voice gravel. Boy. Russo's pressing. Lake's deep. Make it permanent. Ethan's assent. Muffled. Alex'll take the heat. He's solid. Solid. The betrayal layered. Not just fall, but frame me as the patsy with priors. Ethan the heir apparent. Mom waited at home. Kitchen light haloing her curlers. Rosary clicking. He's stable, she said. Pouring Lipton weak as her spine. No tears. Just fatigue etched deep as Great Lakes freighter scars. Why? Alex? The leaks, it's tearing us.
Us.
The word chafed. Tearing? Like you tore when you let me rot? She flinched. Beads stilling.
We protected you.
From yourself. Protected. Code for complicit. Her nursing shift spying silence. I left her to the TV murmur, infomercials peddling miracles, and hit Riley's loft downtown. Lofts at the block. Exposed brick and overpriced craft beer in the fridge. She poured the USB. Laptop fan whirring. This is dynamite. Alex. Murder for hire. Obstruction, the works. Her fingers flew, redacting for the blog. But doubt creased her brow. You sure? Feds could. No feds. I paced. Window overlooking the people movers loop. Empty cars rattling like tin cans. This is personal. They fed me to the machine. She closed the lid. Gentle. And now you're the grinder. What's the endgame? Ethan in cuffs. Dad broke. Then what?
You.
Whole.
Whole.
The concept mocked. Scar tissue pulling tight. Revenge isn't therapy. It's balance. We posted at dawn. Klein kingpins. From bricks to bodies. Clips embedded. Voices distorted but damning. By noon, protests swelled. Unions at City Hall. Signs, Klein kills. Chants echoing off the Renson glass. X lit up. Klein collapse trending. Bots and blue checks dueling. Whistleblower hero versus Vengeful ex-con vendetta. Dad's bail hearing streamed live. Him in orange jumpsuit. Sputtering to reporters. Ethan absent. Phone straight to VM. Rumor mill churned. Witness protection. Flipping for immunity. I tailed his McMansion. Empty drive. Blinds drawn. Blonde answered the bell. Eyes puffy. He's gone. Said family emergency. Emergency. My doing. The blade twisting. Riley texted coordinates. Dive bar in Hamtramck. Polka blaring. I found him in a booth. Shots lined like soldiers. Fed across. Burly. Gold shield glinting. Deal sweet. Klein. The agent murmured. Voice low over Pierogies. Rico on daddy. You walk clean. Ethan nodded. But his eyes caught mine through the smoke. Panic. Plea? I slipped out. Heart thumping. The choice crystallizing. Let the system chew. Or bite first. The stakeout rig was a 98F 150. Rust eating the fenders like cancer. Parked curbside in Clausen Burbia. Manicured lawns mocking the wild in me. Thermos of sludge coffee. Binoculars fogging breath. I watched the rancher. Lights flicking like Morse code lies. Ethan paced visible through slats. Phone to ear. Gestures sharp. Fed SUV idled 2 doors down. Plates government dull. Third night. He emerged. Duffel slung. Climbing in Phoenix bound. New life on my dime. Rage simmered. Not boil, cold fusion. American style. The slow burn of foreclosed dreams. Called Riley from the lot. Voicemail. He's flipping. Need a play. Her reply text. Meet at the pier. Bring bourbon. Ambassador Bridge loomed. Detroit River churning below. Freighters low with iron ore from the mills. She waited on the walkway. Wind whipping her scarf. City lights haloing like haloed sins. You're obsessed, she said. Accepting the flask. Sip burning. Ethan's running, let him. Feds'll gut the firm. I leaned rail. Water black as Russo's fate. Running's his MO. Chop shop. Now this. Can't let it slide. She handed back. Eyes searching. Slide? You're sliding? Alex. Into what vigilante? This country's full of Kleins. One family's not the war.
War.
The word fit. Rust Belt battles, 67 riots dad romanticized. Sit-ins I'd read in lockup. It's my war.
Re.
They made me the casualty. She sighed. Arm brushing mine, spark or static. Then I'm POW too. Dug this up in probate. Mom's will addendum. Sealed. Envelope crinkled. Paternity test peak. Subject A. Ethan Klein, 99.9% match to Richard Klein. Subject B. Alex, 0%. The zero punched. World tilting. Not blood. Mom's affair. Union boss suicide, dad claimed. Twist or trap? I muttered, folding it away. Riley shrugged. Leverage. But use it. You're no better. We parted with a kiss, desperate. Tasting salt, and I drove to a Klein site. Derelict warehouse by the Rouge. Rebar skeletons rusting. Torch it? Controversial call. Insurance fraud on their fraud. But flames called like sirens. Held off. Instead. Burner text, Rouge Bridge. Midnight. No feds. Endgame.
He bit. Reply terse, solo.
Rain lashed as I waited. .38 heavy pocket.
Tunder motondrum.
He arrived. Coat flapping. Face haggard. Alex. This madness. Madness? Like drowning a man for debts. Gun out. Steady. He backed. Hands up.
Who supushed?
Dad's orders.
Dad.
The puppeteer.
And me?
The prop. Words flew. Rain mixing tears or sweat. You were always the fixer, he yelled.
Tough.
Expendable. Expendable. The flip gutted. Then the text moms. Stop. Ethan's not. Cut off. But the PDF attached. Full test. I lowered the gun. Storm breaking. Not what? Blood. He froze. Knowledge dawning. You knew. Lie or truth. The bridge trembled. Sirens near. Bridge span slick. River roiling below like buried grudges. Ethan's breath ragged. Rain plastering hair. Knew? About mom?
Yeah.
College saw the letters. Union guy. Before I was born. Dad offed him. Called it suicide.
Offed.
The cycle closed. Dad's violence viral. And me? Side project. He laughed bitter. You were the favorite tough love.
He said. Me?
The soft one needing polish. Polish, with blood money.
My fall his shine.
Gun wavered. Finger itching trigger.
Kneel. Ethan.
For the brotherhood, that wasn't. He dropped. Knees cracking concrete. Eyes defiant.
Do it.
Be dad. The choice split souls. Pull. End the line. Become the monster media painted. Ex-con Avenger.
Cop killer light.
Or holster. Let feds fillet. But loose ends fray. Sirens wailed closer. Fed back up. Mom's text full now. Ethan's not the father. You're mine from him. Forgive. Forgive? The twist nodded. I was the outsider blood. Dad's rage displaced hate. Gun down.
Run.
Tell the old man the joke's his. Keys tossed. He scrambled up. Truck roaring away hydroplane. I walked the span. .38 pitched into the drink. Plunk lost to waves. Riley waited at the end. Wipers on. Face pale. Heard the call. You okay? Okay? Fractured. Reforged. Better. But the empire burns. We drove to the warehouse. Chain link rattling. Gas cans from the bed, sloshed on pallets. Blueprints doused. Zippo flicked. Flame kissing accelerant whoosh. Inferno blooming orange against night. Alarms shrieked distant. Fireboats churning river. Riley grabbed my arm. This insurance hit? You're crossing. Crossing. The line I'd towed now leaped. They're fraud. My fix. We fled. Flames mirror in her eyes. Fear. Thrill? Back at her loft. Tangled sheets. Her whisper. We're fugitives now. Fugitive. The word thrilled. American outlaw run. Dawn broke gray. News choppers thumping over the blaze. Headlines screaming Klein arson? Empire in flames. Dad's mug on every channel. Bail revoked. Rico net tightening.
Ethan?
Ghosted. Phoenix whispers via Riley's contacts, flipping burgers as Ed Kane. Immunity his shield. The protests swelled. Rust revenge marches, snaking Jefferson. Unions cheering leaks. Blue-collar heroes dubbing me the shadow auditor. Feds grilled me at the precinct. Coffee stale. Detectives tag team. Witness places your truck. Klein. I lawyered up, Riley. Fierce in heels, alibi airtight. With me. Movie night. Cleared on tech. But the stain lingered. Neighbors' stares like spotlights. Yard job gone. Foreman muttering, trouble. But the balance tipped. Firm dissolved. Workers' back pay clawed from assets. River cleanup funded by settlements. Riley and I hold in her loft. Takeout falafel wrappers piling. Her drafting briefs for class actions. You won, she said one night. Wine loosening tongue. But at what? The question gnawed, sides blurred. Me villain to family. Vigilante to victims.
One?
Or just survived. She curled close. Heartbeats sink. Both. That's America, messy wins. Mom's letter arrived FedEx. Florida postmark. Envelope trembling hand. Dearest Alex, the truth, your father, Richard, was love's mistake. Killed to silence. Ethan.
Dad's.
But you. My heart. Forgive the lies. They chained us. Tears smudged ink. Forgiveness? A maybe.
Distant.
Rain sheeted again. Detroit's eternal baptism. As we packed the U-Haul, boxes of my nothing life. Riley's law tomes. California, she mused. Taping a flap. Silicon Valley sins. Or beach bum. West called. Sun chasing shadows. New start sans Klein curse. But doubts dogged. Ethan's burner call. Voice crackle. Bro, Ed now. Feds squeezed. But Dad's singing. Watch your six. Threat or olive. Hung up. Gunless, but guarded. Public twist. Anonymous op-ed in Free Press. The Avengers regret. Me. Veiled.
Revenge split souls. No winners.
Only survivors. Comments warred. Readers picking teams. Hero. Hypocrite. Riley read aloud. Laughing. Your famous infamous. Strange showed. Her firm's whispers. Daddy's disapproval. Worth it? I asked. Hands on wheel. You are. Road blurred eye, 94. Motown fading rear view. Interstate hummed. Palm trees eventual. Riley's head on shoulder. Phoenix passed by. No sign of Ed, but a trucker nod. Klein fan, keep fighting. New gig, PI firm in Oakland. Digging corporate dirt.
Railitslerking pro bono.
Mom visited once. Awkward beach walk. Proud. Son.
Proud.
The word fit loose. Twist lingered. Postcard. No stamp. Ethan scrawl. Blood or not. Brothers run deep. Watch the sunsets. They lie. Threat? Truce? Readers argue. Redemption arc or sequel bait?
Me?
I laughed at family dinners now, mine.
Scar-free.
But the joke? Always on us. The knife's echo. Only I refuse to laugh.